The alarm screamed through Station Meridian like a dying animal. June dropped the cargo container he was holding and looked up at the flashing red lights. In 2 years of working on this massive space station, he had never heard that particular alarm before. It was the kind of sound that made his stomach twist into knots. Around him, alien workers scattered in every direction. The Thaxians pulled their shell-like bodies into their protective housings. The floating whispers vanished into the air vents. Even the massive Krell security guards were backing away from something, their weapons drawn and ready. June stood still, trying to understand what was happening. Then he heard it, a sound that was part growl, part shriek echoing through the loading bay. It was followed by the crash of metal and the terrified screams of station personnel. "Everyone evacuate," a voice boomed over the speakers. "We have a code red situation. 3 hostile creatures have escaped containment. All workers report to safe zones immediately." June's first instinct was to run like everyone else, but curiosity kept his feet planted on the metal floor. He had been working in the cargo section for months, moving boxes and containers without anyone even looking at him. Humans were new to the galactic community. Most aliens barely noticed he existed. Sometimes he felt like he was invisible. But right now, he wanted to see what could scare creatures that were 3 times his size. He moved carefully toward the source of the noise, staying behind the tall stacks of cargo containers. His heart was beating fast, but he kept going. When he peeked around the corner, his breath caught in his throat. 3 creatures were cornered against a wall by a squad of Krell security guards. The creatures looked like nothing June had ever seen before. They were about the size of large wolves, but had 6 legs instead of 4. Their bodies were covered in dark scales that seemed to shift colors in the light. Sharp crystalline claws scraped against the metal floor, leaving deep scratches. Most striking were the glowing markings along their bodies that pulsed with a soft blue light. The cubs, because that's what they had to be, pressed against each other. Their multiple eyes darted around, looking for a way to escape. The smallest one was shaking. June could see it clearly even from where he stood. "Stun them now," the security captain ordered. The guards fired their weapons. Blue energy bolts hit the cubs, but nothing happened. The creatures didn't even flinch. One of the guards tried a different weapon, shooting out a net made of energy. The largest cub slashed through it with one swipe of its claws. June watched as the guards tried everything. Tranquilizer darts bounced off their scales. Sound weapons made them angry but didn't slow them down. A containment field flickered and died when the middle-sized cub touched it with its glowing markings. "They're immune to everything," one guard said, backing away. "What are these things?" "Vrax cubs," another guard answered, and June heard fear in his voice. "From Death World 7, their species hunts everything. Even adult Krell avoid them. Just cubs?" the captain asked. "And they're this dangerous?" "These are alpha cubs, the strongest of their kind, and they're scared, which makes them more dangerous." June looked at the creatures again. Now that the guard mentioned it, he could see it. They weren't attacking. They were defending themselves. Every time a guard got close, they struck out, but then they pulled back again. They were huddled together like scared children. "Kill order approved," the captain said, raising a different weapon. "We can't contain them, so we terminate them." Something in June's chest tightened. He thought about the farm where he grew up on Earth. He remembered the time a wild dog got stuck in their barn. It had been so scared it tried to bite anyone who came close. His father wanted to shoot it, but June had sat with the dog for hours, talking softly until it trusted him enough to let him help. These cubs reminded him of that dog, scared, alone, striking out because they didn't know what else to do. Before he could think about it too much, June stepped out from behind the containers. His legs felt like they were made of water, but he kept walking forward. "Wait," he said, his voice smaller than he wanted it to be. Every guard turned to look at him. The captain's multiple eyes blinked in confusion. "Human, get back to the safe zone now." "They're just scared," June said, taking another step forward. His hands were shaking, so he put them in his pockets. "Look at them. They're not hunting. They're hiding. They've injured 17 of our people," the captain said. "We have no choice." "Give me a chance," June heard himself say. "Let me try to calm them down." The captain made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You're a human, soft, weak, no armor. No weapons. Those creatures will tear you apart in seconds." "Maybe," June agreed. His mouth was dry, but he kept talking. "But I don't think they want to hurt anyone. They just want to feel safe." The guards looked at each other. The captain was about to say no when the smallest cub made a sound. It was a whimper like a puppy crying. The sound cut through all of June's fear. He didn't wait for permission. He walked forward, past the line of guards, toward the 3 cubs. Behind him he heard weapons powering up, ready to shoot if things went wrong. The cubs saw him coming. The largest one moved in front of the other 2, teeth bared. Its glowing markings flashed brighter, a warning. June stopped walking when he was about 10 feet away. Then he did something that seemed crazy even to him. He slowly sat down on the cold metal floor, cross-legged, making himself smaller. He put his hands on his knees where the cubs could see them. Empty. No weapons. No threat. "It's okay," he said softly in Korean, the language of his home. The cubs wouldn't understand the words, but maybe they would understand the tone. "Nobody's going to hurt you. I promise." The largest cub took a step forward, growling. June's heart hammered in his chest, but he didn't move. Didn't run. He just sat there, breathing slowly, trying to look calm even though he was terrified. The cub moved closer. Then closer. Its face was inches from June's now. He could see its teeth, sharp and deadly. Could feel its breath on his face. One of its eyes studied him carefully, and June had the strange feeling it was trying to understand what he was. Then the cub did something unexpected. It stopped growling. Its body was still tense, still ready to fight, but it didn't attack. Instead, it just stood there, shaking slightly, looking at June with what he could only describe as confusion. "That's right," June whispered. "I'm not going to hurt you, see? Just sitting here." The smallest cub, the one that had been whimpering, peeked out from behind its sibling. It looked at June with wide eyes. Then slowly, carefully, it took a tiny step forward. Behind June, the entire loading bay had gone silent. Everyone was watching, waiting, hardly daring to breathe. The small cub came closer. Closer. Its nose touched June's outstretched hand, and the station held its breath. Station Director Velthar was not happy. His forearms crossed over his shell-like chest as he stared at June through the glass window. On the other side, in the cargo bay, the 3 cubs lay sleeping in a pile. June sat nearby, his back against a wall, looking exhausted. "This is insane," Velthar said. "That human has been in there for 6 hours. Those creatures could kill him at any moment." Dr. Rena, the station's xenobiologist, watched the scene with fascination. Her serpentine body coiled around itself as she took notes on her data pad. But they haven't killed him. In fact, they've been completely calm since he sat down with them. No aggression. No attempts to escape. "It won't last," Velthar insisted. "Vracs are predators. It's only a matter of time before their instincts take over." "Perhaps," Dr. Rena said thoughtfully. "Or perhaps this human understands something we don't." Velthar made an annoyed sound. "He's a cargo handler. He has no training. No credentials. What could he possibly know about Vrac psychology?" Inside the bay, June opened his eyes. He hadn't really been sleeping. Every muscle in his body was tense, ready to move if needed. But the cubs seemed peaceful. The smallest one had actually fallen asleep with its head resting near his leg. His stomach growled. He hadn't eaten since breakfast, and it was now late evening. Slowly, carefully, he reached for his comm device. He kept his movements small and quiet. "Hello?" He whispered into the device. Dr. Rena's voice came through. "June, are you all right?" "I'm fine," he said, glancing at the cubs. They were still sleeping. "But I need food. For them and for me." "The facility that owns them sent specific feeding instructions," Dr. Rena said. "Nutrient paste. It has everything they need." June shook his head, even though she couldn't see it well through the dim lighting. "No, they need real meat. Fresh if possible. And lots of it." There was silence on the other end. Then Velthar's voice came through, sharp and angry. "You don't give orders here, human. We'll feed them what the facility prescribes." "With respect, Director," June said quietly. "That facility is the reason these cubs are terrified. They don't need nutrition. They need comfort. They need to feel like someone cares about them." "Ridiculous," Velthar said. "They're animals. They're children," June corrected. "Orphaned children who watched their family die. Look at them. Really look at them. They're not monsters. They're just scared." Dr. Rena spoke up. "Director, I recommend we follow June's suggestion. At least for now. We can study how they respond to different care methods." Velthar was quiet for a long moment. "Fine, you have 48 hours, human. If you can keep them calm and contained in that time, we'll discuss options. If not, they will be terminated." Is that clear? Crystal clear, June said. Thank you, Director. An hour later, a service robot brought food into the bay. It moved slowly, staying far from the cubs. It left 2 packages near the door and quickly rolled away. June stood up carefully. The smallest cub opened its eyes immediately, watching him. He smiled at it. It's okay. Just getting dinner. He walked to the packages and opened them. One had a sandwich and water for him. The other had fresh meat, still warm. He brought both back to his spot against the wall. The cubs were all awake now, watching him. Their eyes tracked his every movement. He could see hunger in their faces. Come on, he said gently. I know you must be starving. He placed the meat on the floor between them. The cubs didn't move. They looked at the food, then at him, then at the food again. June understood. They didn't trust it. Maybe the facility had drugged their food before. Maybe they were just too scared to eat in front of strangers. So June did something that probably wasn't smart. He picked up his sandwich and took a bite. He chewed slowly, making sure they could see he was eating. See? Food is safe. It's good. The largest cub tilted its head, watching him. Then it looked at the meat. Slowly, very slowly, it moved forward. Its body stayed low, ready to run. It sniffed the meat carefully. Then, in one quick movement, it grabbed a piece and backed away. The other 2 cubs watched. When the largest one started eating and nothing bad happened, they came forward too. Soon all 3 were eating, though they kept glancing at June between bites. June smiled. It was a small victory, but it felt huge. Over the next hours, June learned about the cubs just by watching them. The largest one, which June started thinking of as Tai in his mind, was the protector. It always positioned itself between the other 2 and any potential danger. The middle-sized one, Hai, was clever. It studied everything, learning patterns, and the smallest one, Ara, was the sensitive one. It felt things deeply and reacted first to emotions. As the station's artificial night cycle began, the temperature in the bay dropped slightly. June saw the cubs huddle closer together. Their glowing markings dimmed, probably to help them sleep in the dark. Ara kept looking at June. The little cub would close its eyes, then open them again to check if he was still there. Each time June would nod at it. I'm here. Not going anywhere. Finally, Ara made a decision. The cub slowly crawled closer to June, moving inch by inch. Tay raised its head, watching carefully. Hai opened one eye but didn't move. Ara reached June and stopped. It looked up at him with those multiple eyes. June stayed very still. Then Ara did something that made his heart squeeze. The cub gently rested its head against his leg and closed its eyes. June barely breathed. The cub's body was warm and he could feel its heartbeat. Slowly, he moved his hand and very gently placed it on the cub's head. Ara made a soft sound, almost like a purr, and relaxed completely. Outside the bay, Dr. Rena was recording everything. She had tears in her eyes, though she didn't understand why. Director, you need to see this. Velthar looked at the screen. The human was sitting against a wall, one deadly predator cub sleeping against him while the other 2 rested nearby. The scene looked peaceful, calm. Nothing like the terror from earlier. How is this possible? Velthar asked. I don't know, Dr. Rena admitted, but I'm going to find out. She pulled up the records about Vrak's cubs. As she read, her eyes widened. Director, look at this. Vrak's cubs need constant pack contact. They sleep together, eat together, never separated. The facility that bought them kept them in individual cages. No touch, no comfort. No wonder they were going feral. And the human? Velthar asked. He's giving them what they need, Dr. Rena said simply. He's treating them like family. Inside the bay, June was talking softly to the cubs. It didn't matter that they couldn't understand Korean. He told them about his home on Earth, about his sister Sora and her goats, about the farm where he grew up. His voice was low and steady, a comforting sound in the quiet bay. You're safe now, he promised them. I don't know how, but I'm going to make sure you stay safe. Tay and Hai had moved closer now. They weren't touching him yet, but they were near. Close enough that he could reach out and touch them if he wanted, but June didn't reach. He let them come to him in their own time. That was the secret, he thought. Don't push, don't force. Just be there, steady and calm, until they're ready to trust. By the time the station's morning cycle began, all 3 cubs were sleeping peacefully near June. His leg had fallen asleep hours ago, but he didn't dare move. On the other side of the glass, Dr. Rena had uploaded a video to the Galactic network. Within minutes, it started spreading. Within an hour, it had 1 million views. By noon, the entire galaxy was watching a human do the impossible, and in the cargo bay of Station Meridian, June closed his eyes and finally let himself sleep, surrounded by 3 predators that everyone feared, everyone except him. The video reached over 1 billion views in just 3 days. Every species across the galaxy watched the human sleeping peacefully, with 3 Vrax cubs curled around him. News channels played it on repeat. Scientists argued about it. Parents showed it to their children. Even the Galactic Council took notice. But not everyone was happy about it. Kix arrived on Station Meridian 5 days after the cubs escaped. He was tall, with gray skin and cold eyes that showed no emotion. Behind him came 4 security guards carrying heavy weapons. He walked through the station like he owned it, and in a way he did own something there. He had the legal contracts that said the cubs belonged to his research facility. Velthar met him in the station director's office. Dr. Rena was there too, her data pad ready. She didn't trust Kix. She had researched his facility and what she found made her sick. Animals kept in tiny cages, experiments that caused pain, cubs separated from their families and kept alone in dark rooms. Director Velthar, Kix said without warmth, "I'm here to collect my property. The 3 Vrax specimens that escaped, they're not specimens," Dr. Rena said before she could stop herself. "They're living beings, children." Kix looked at her with those cold eyes. "They're genetic material worth millions of credits. They're research subjects that will help us develop new technologies. And they're mine." "The contracts are clear," Velthar nodded slowly. "Yes, the contracts are legal. However, we have a situation. The cubs have bonded with one of our workers, a human named June. Attempts to separate them could be dangerous." "Then sedate them," Kix said simply. "Knock them out and transport them." "I don't care about this human's feelings." "You should," Dr. Rena said. "The entire galaxy is watching. That video has been seen by billions. If you take those cubs now, everyone will know you're the one who caused them pain." Kix smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. "Let them watch. Business is business. I have investors to satisfy." He pulled out a device from his pocket. "This is a remote sedation trigger. The cubs were implanted with control chips before transport. I can put them to sleep from anywhere on this station." Dr. Rena felt her blood run cold. "You can't, they're finally healing. Finally feeling safe." "Watch me," Kix said. He pressed the button. In the cargo bay, June was teaching the cubs a game. He would hide small pieces of meat around the room and they would hunt for them. It helped them practice their natural instincts in a safe way. All 3 cubs were playing, their glowing markings bright with happiness. Then Ara stopped moving. She made a sound of pain and fell to the floor. Tay and Hai collapsed seconds later, their bodies going stiff. "No." June ran to them. He checked Ara first, his hands shaking. Her eyes were open but unfocused. She was breathing, but something was very wrong. "Help! I need help!" Dr. Rena came running into the bay, followed by medical staff. She quickly scanned the cubs with her equipment. "They've been drugged. Someone activated control chips in their bodies." "Can you remove the chips?" June asked, holding Ara's head gently. "Not quickly enough," Dr. Rena said. She looked at him with sad eyes. "June, Kix is here. He's taking them back to his facility. He has legal right to them." "No," June said firmly. "No, he can't. They'll die there. Not physically maybe, but inside. They'll become the monsters everyone thinks they are." "I know," Dr. Rena whispered. "But what can we do?" June looked at the 3 cubs lying helpless on the floor. He thought about everything they'd been through. The fear in their eyes when he first saw them. The way Ara had finally trusted him enough to sleep near him. How Hai had learned to play. How Tay had started to relax and not see everything as a threat. He couldn't let them go back to cages. He couldn't. "How much are they worth?" June asked suddenly. Dr. Rena blinked. "What? The cubs. How much did Kix pay for them?" 3 million credits, Dr. Rena said. "Why?" June stood up. His legs felt weak, but his decision was strong. "I'm going to buy them. Buy them from him. Then they'll be mine, and he can't take them." "June, you don't have 3 million credits," Dr. Rena said gently. "You barely have 300. "Then I'll get it," June said. He pulled out his comm device. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. "Dr. Rena, can you stream this?" "To the Galactic Network?" "Right now?" She looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded and pulled out her own device. "Starting stream." "We're live." June looked at the camera. Behind him, the three cubs lay unconscious. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, and his clothes were dirty from days in the cargo bay. But when he spoke, his voice was clear. "My name is June. I'm a human cargo handler on Station Meridian. A week ago, 3 Vrax cubs escaped their containment. Everyone was terrified of them. They hurt people. They destroyed property. The station wanted to kill them." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "But I looked at them and I didn't see monsters. I saw scared children, orphans who had lost their families. So I sat with them. I talked to them. I fed them. And slowly they learned to trust again." Behind him on the screen, viewers could see the cubs lying still. It was heartbreaking. Now the facility that bought them wants to take them back. They want to put them in cages. Keep them alone. Use them for experiments. And it's legal. They own the cubs like property. Like things. June's voice got stronger. But they're not things. They're living beings who feel fear and pain and happiness. They have names now. Ara, Tai, Hai. They play games. They have favorite foods. They're learning to be children instead of weapons. He looked directly at the camera. "I want to buy them. Keep them safe. Take them to a sanctuary world where they can live free. But I don't have the money. 3 million credits. That's what I need." He took a deep breath. "So I'm asking for help. Any species, any world. If you believe these cubs deserve a chance at life, please help. Even 1 credit, anything. The galaxy watched me calm them. Now I'm asking the galaxy to save them." The stream ended. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Dr. Rena's datapad started beeping. Then beeping faster. Then it became a continuous sound, "June," she whispered. "Look, donations were pouring in. 10 credits from a Thaxian worker. 5 credits from a school on Earth. 100 credits from a Krell soldier." The numbers climbed fast. 1,000. 10,000. 100,000. Across the galaxy, beings who had watched the video of June and the cubs decided to act. Parents donated money they'd been saving for toys. Students gave their lunch money. Even other species who usually ignored humans sent credits. In his office, Velthar was watching the same numbers. "This is unprecedented," he said quietly. Kix was watching too, and his face was angry. "This is illegal. You can't crowdfund to buy someone's property." "Actually," Dr. Rena said with a small smile, "we can. Galactic commerce law allows any being to purchase goods from another being if both parties agree. You named your price. 3 million credits. If June can raise that amount, you have to sell." "The human will never raise that much," Kix said, but his voice sounded uncertain. 3 hours later, the counter hit 1 million credits. 6 hours after that, 2 million. Messages came from every corner of the galaxy. Some beings sent money. Others sent messages of support. A whisper poet wrote a song about the human and the cubs. A Krell artist made a painting. Humanity, which had been largely ignored by the galactic community, suddenly had everyone's attention. Not because humans were strong or advanced or powerful, but because one human had shown compassion when everyone else showed fear. 28 hours after June's broadcast, the counter stopped at 3,200,000 credits. More than enough. June sat on the floor of the cargo bay, holding Ara's head in his lap. The cubs were starting to wake up from the drugs. Tay opened his eyes first, confused, then Haya. Finally, Ara stirred and looked up at June. "It's okay," he told her softly. "You're safe. I promise you're safe." His comm device buzzed. It was Dr. Rena. "June, you did it. You have the money. The cubs are yours." June closed his eyes and felt tears run down his face. Around him, the 3 cubs moved closer, sensing his emotions. They pressed against him, their glowing markings pulsing gently. In the director's office, Kix took the credits transfer with a cold expression. "Fine, the specimens are his, but they'll never survive outside a facility. He's doomed them." "Maybe," Dr. Rena said, "or maybe he's given them the only chance they ever had." That night, June lay on the floor of the cargo bay with 3 cubs sleeping around him. They were his now. His responsibility. His family. He had no idea how he was going to take care of them. He had no training, no experience, no plan, but he had something more important. He had love. And sometimes that was enough. The ship called Silverwake wasn't fancy. It was old with scratched metal walls and engines that made strange noises. But it was the ship that would take June and the cubs to Vraxos Prime, the sanctuary world where other vraks still lived wild and free. Captain Quan met them at the docking bay. He was older, maybe in his 50s, with gray hair and tired eyes. He looked at June, then at the 3 cubs following close behind, and shook his head. "You're the human from the videos," Quan said in Korean. It felt strange to June to hear his own language after so long speaking Galactic Common. "The one who tamed Deathworld predators." "I didn't tame them," June said. "I just helped them feel safe." Quan looked at the cubs again. Ara was pressed against June's leg. Tay stood slightly in front, protective. Hai was watching everything with curious eyes. "They're bigger than in the videos. Growing fast. They're eating well now," June said. "Regular meals. No stress. Can they control themselves on my ship?" Quan asked. "I can't have them tearing up my cargo holds or attacking my crew." "They won't," June promised. "As long as no one threatens them, they're peaceful." Quan studied him for a long moment. "You know, people said you were crazy, risking your life for animals." "They're not animals," June said quietly. "They're children." Something in Quan's expression softened. "My daughter said the same thing. She watched your videos, cried when she saw them drugged. She's 8 years old, and she told me I had to help you." He sighed. "So here I am, against my better judgment." They were joined by 2 others. Dr. Rena arrived with several bags of equipment. She had decided to come along to document the cubs' integration into the sanctuary. Behind her came a young human woman with bright eyes and oil-stained hands. "I'm Isul," the woman said, reaching out to shake June's hand. "Engineer, I saw your videos and quit my job to come help." "Hope that's okay. Why?" June asked, surprised. Isul grinned. "Because I'm tired of aliens thinking humans are weak and boring. You showed them something different. Thought I could help show them more." She looked at the cubs without fear. "Plus, I always wanted to work with vraks. They're amazing." Tay growled softly at her. Isul didn't back away. She just smiled. "Yeah, you're tough, I get it. I have a brother who acts the same way." Despite himself, June smiled. Maybe this journey wouldn't be so lonely after all. The first week on the Silver Wake was an adjustment. The cubs had never been on a ship before. The engine sound scared them at first. The artificial gravity felt different from the station. They didn't understand why they couldn't go outside. June spent most of his time in the cargo hold with them, helping them adjust. He played games to keep them active. He talked to them constantly. At night, they all slept together in a nest made of cargo blankets. Dr. Rena observed everything, taking notes. "They're developing faster than any Vrax cubs on record," she told June one evening. Usually, cubs this age would still be completely dependent on their pack. But Tay is already showing leadership behaviors. Her is problem-solving at an advanced level, and Ara's emotional intelligence is remarkable. "Maybe because they feel safe now," June suggested. "Maybe cubs develop better when they're not terrified all the time." "That's what I'm thinking," Dr. Rena agreed. She looked at her notes. "You're doing something important here, June. Not just for these 3, for the entire species." But not everyone was happy about their journey. On the 10th day, alarms blared through the ship. Captain Quan's voice came over the speakers, tense and worried. "We've got company. Mercenary vessel. Looks like Scorth raiders. Everyone to emergency stations." June's blood went cold. Scorth were known throughout the galaxy as brutal fighters. They hired themselves out to the highest bidder. And June knew exactly who had hired them. He ran to the bridge. The cubs followed, sensing his fear. On the main screen, a dark ship was approaching fast. It was covered in weapons. "They're hailing us," Isul said from the engineering station. "Should I answer?" "Do it," Quan said. The screen changed to show a Scorth captain. He was reptilian with scales and sharp teeth. His eyes were cold. "Silver Wake. We are authorized to reclaim stolen property. 3 Vrak specimens. Surrender them now and you will not be harmed." "They're not property," June said, stepping forward. "They're living beings, and they're not going anywhere." The Scorth captain laughed. "Brave words from a human. But you're outgunned. Our employer wants those cubs back. Dead or alive? The choice is yours." The screen went black. Seconds later, the Silver Wake shook as weapons fire hit their shields. "Shields at 60%, Isul called out. "We can't take many more hits like that." "Can we outrun them?" Dr. Rena asked. Quan shook his head. "They're faster. Better armed. We're a cargo ship, not a warship." Another hit. The lights flickered. The cubs were growling now, their markings glowing bright with stress. "They're demanding we lower shields and allow boarding." Isul said. If we don't, they'll destroy us. June looked at the cubs. Ara was shaking. Tay was pacing, frustrated that he couldn't fight the threat. I was watching the door, calculating. Lower the shields, June said quietly. What? Quan turned to stare at him. They'll board us. Take the cubs. Probably kill us all. Lower the shields, June repeated. But seal the bridge. Keep everyone important safe. Just leave the cargo corridors open. That's where the cubs are, Dr. Rena said. Exactly, June said. He looked at Quan. The Scorth don't know what they're dealing with. They've seen videos of cubs sleeping, cubs playing. They think they're getting easy targets. Understanding dawned on Quan's face. But they're not cubs anymore. They're growing fast, and they're about to be very, very angry. Their pack, June said. And someone is threatening their pack. I wouldn't want to be the one boarding this ship. The Scorth ship docked with the Silver Wake. 8 raiders in heavy armor came through the airlock, weapons ready. They moved through the corridors carefully, scanning for life signs. Cubs should be in cargo hold 3, one of them said. Easy capture. They're sedated in the videos, probably drugged. They reached the cargo hold. The door opened. Inside it was dark. Then 3 pairs of eyes appeared in the shadows. Then 6, then 9. The cubs' glowing markings lit up, angry red instead of calm blue. That's not possible, one raider said. They're too big. The intel said they were small. They've been growing, another said nervously. And they're not drugged. Tay moved first. He was massive now, nearly the size of a small car. His crystalline claws extended, sharp and deadly. He roared, and the sound echoed through the metal corridors. The raiders opened fire, but the cubs were faster. They'd been practicing in the cargo hold for days, learning to navigate the tight spaces. They knew every corner, every hiding spot. Hai came from above, having climbed the walls. Ara came from the side, small and fast. Tay came straight ahead, unstoppable. The fight lasted less than 3 minutes. The raiders never stood a chance. Their armor meant nothing against crystalline claws. Their weapons couldn't track targets moving so fast. And they had made one critical mistake. They had threatened the cubs' pack. June watched through the security cameras, standing in the sealed bridge. It wasn't easy to watch. The cubs were fierce, violent, everything the galaxy had feared them to be. But they were also protecting their family. And June understood that. When it was over, the Scorth retreated to their ship, carrying their wounded. Half didn't make it back. Their captain appeared on screen again, his face showing fear for the first time. What are you? He asked. We're Pack, June said simply. And you made a mistake coming after us. The Scorth ship disconnected and jumped to hyperspace, running away as fast as their engines could manage. In the cargo hold, the cubs were still tense, ready for more threats. June went down alone against everyone's advice. The cubs turned to face him, their markings still red, their claws still extended. It's over, June said softly in Korean. You did good. You protected us. But it's over now. Slowly, the red markings faded back to blue. The cubs' bodies relaxed. Ara ran to June and pressed against him, shaking. Tay and he came too, needing comfort after the violence. I'm sorry, June whispered, holding them. I'm sorry you had to do that. But thank you. Thank you for protecting everyone. Upstairs, Isul was recording everything. The footage would go viral again, but this time it showed something different. Not gentle cubs playing, but fierce protectors defending their pack. The galaxy had thought humans were weak because they showed compassion. Now they saw that compassion could be backed by strength, that the gentlest beings could have the fiercest defenders. Captain Quan came down to the cargo hold later. He looked at June sitting with 3 massive predators curled around him. The same predators that had just fought off trained mercenaries. Your daughter was right, Quan said. They are children. But they're also warriors. Your pack is strong. June nodded tiredly. We have 2 more weeks to Vraxos Prime. Think we'll make it. Quan smiled. I think anyone else who tries to stop us is going to regret it. Word will spread fast about what happened here. He was right. By the next day, every mercenary group in the sector had seen the footage. None of them would accept contracts involving the Silver Wake or its passengers. The human and his pack were too dangerous to mess with. Vraxos Prime was beautiful in a dangerous way. The planet was covered in thick jungles with trees that reached toward the sky like giants. Crystal formations jutted from the ground, catching the light and scattering it in rainbow colors. And everywhere there were sounds. Calls of creatures June had never heard before. The rustle of things moving through the undergrowth. The planet was alive with predators. Perfect for Vrax cubs. The Silver Wake landed at the sanctuary base, a collection of buildings surrounded by high walls. Not to keep the Vrax in, Dr. Rena explained, but to give the humans working there a safe space when needed. A woman was waiting at the landing pad when they arrived. She was older, maybe in her 60s, with sun-darkened skin and gray hair tied back. She wore practical clothes and had the look of someone who had lived on this wild planet for a long time. "I'm Bomi," she said, shaking June's hand firmly. "I run this sanctuary. Been here 30 years. I know Vrax better than anyone alive." She looked past him at the cubs. They were staying close to June, uncertain about this new place. Tay was sniffing the air, taking in all the new smells. I was watching everything with sharp eyes. Ara pressed against June's leg, nervous. "These are the famous cubs," Bomi said. Her face was hard to read. "I watched the videos. Saw what you did for them. Impressive." "Thank you," June said. He felt uncertain. This woman was an expert. He was just a cargo handler who got lucky. "Don't thank me yet," Bomi said. "Let me be clear about something. What you did on the station was remarkable, but keeping them alive and happy is only the first step. Now comes the hard part." She gestured toward the jungle beyond the walls. "Out there are wild Vrax packs. They've lived here for generations. They have territories, hierarchies, rules. Your cubs were taken before they learned any of that. They're domesticated, bonded to a human. That's not going to work in the wild." June felt his stomach sink. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we need to teach them to be Vrax. Real Vrax. And I'm not sure that's possible with you around." Bomi's eyes were kind but firm. "They see you as their pack leader. As long as you're here, they'll never fully integrate with their own species." "You want me to leave them?" June asked. The cubs sensed his distress. Ara whimpered. Tay moved closer, protective. "I'm saying you need to decide what's best for them," Bomi said. "Not what's easiest for you. Do you want them dependent on you forever? Or do you want them to be truly free?" The words hit June hard. He looked at the three cubs. They had grown so much in the past weeks. Tay was now the size of a large vehicle. Hia was almost as big. Even Ara, the smallest, was massive compared to when they first met. But they still looked at him with trust. Still followed him everywhere.
Still needed him. Was he helping them?
Or was he holding them back? "Let me show you something," Bomi said. She led them to an observation deck that overlooked a valley. In the distance, June could see a pack of wild Vrax. They moved together, hunting something. Their coordination was perfect. Their power was breathtaking. "That's what they could be," Bomi said. "But they'll never get there if they stay dependent on you. Vrax need pack structure. They need to hunt. They need to compete and challenge and grow. Can you give them that?" June watched the wild pack and felt tears in his eyes. "No, I can't." "Then we need a plan," Bomi said, her voice softer now. "Not abandonment, but gradual separation. Teaching them to be Vrax while still keeping the trust you built. It won't be easy. It might not work at all, but we have to try." Over the next weeks, they began the process. Bomi introduced the cubs to other Vrax one at a time. First, older cubs that had been rescued as youngsters. They weren't as wild as the full packs, but they knew Vrax behavior better than June's three. At first, it went badly. Tay tried to fight every Vrax he met, seeing them as threats. Hai hid and refused to interact. Ara cried and clung to June, but slowly, carefully, progress happened. They met a young Vrax named Suki, who had lost her pack to the same poachers. She was gentle and patient. After days of careful introduction, Hai started playing with her. Just small games at first, chase, hide and seek. Then more complex social behaviors. Tay took longer. He didn't trust easily, but Bomi introduced him to an older male Vrax named Rakor, who had retired from his pack. Rakor was calm and confident. He didn't challenge Tay, just existed near him. Eventually, Tay began to accept his presence. Ara was the hardest. She needed June like she needed air. Bomi suggested that June spend time with other Vrax while holding Ara. Let her see that other Vrax weren't threats. That they could be packed too. It took time. Lots of time. Some days felt like failures. Ara would panic when June left her sight. Tay would get aggressive if other Vrax came too close. Hai would shut down and refuse to interact. But there were victories too. Small ones at first. He teaching Suki a game June had taught her. Tay allowing Rakor to share his food. Aura sleeping near another Vrax for the first time. Months passed. The cubs grew even larger. They were adolescents now, not babies. Their markings became brighter, their claws sharper, their instincts stronger, and slowly they needed June less. It hurt. Every time they chose to sleep with other Vrax instead of him. Every time they went hunting with the pack and forgot to come back for hours. Every time they responded to Vrax calls instead of his voice. It hurt, but June knew it was right. Dr. Rena documented everything. The video she posted showed a different story now. Not the rescue, not the fight, but the letting go. The sacrifice of a pack leader who chose his cubs' freedom over his own happiness. The galaxy watched again. This time they learned a different lesson about humanity. That love wasn't about holding on. It was about knowing when to let go. 6 months after arriving on Vraxos Prime, Bomi told June it was time for the next step. The cubs would join a semi-wild pack. They would sleep outside the walls, hunt real prey. Live as Vrax were meant to live. You can visit, Bomi said, but you can't stay with them. They need to learn independence. The night before the transition, June sat with the 3 cubs one last time. They were huge now, magnificent creatures that barely fit in the space that once held them easily. But when he called their names, they still came. Still pressed close. I'm so proud of you. June told them in Korean, look at how strong you've become. How brave. You're not scared little cubs anymore. You're warriors, hunters, leaders. Aura put her massive head in his lap like she used to when she was small. Tay lay down beside him. Hai rested her chin on his shoulder. I have to let you go now, June whispered. Not because I don't love you, because I do love you. Enough to want you to be free, to be what you were always meant to be. His tears fell on Aura's scales. She made a soft sound, sad but understanding. They were smart. They knew what was happening. I'll visit, June promised, when you want me to. But you don't need me anymore. You have each other. You have your new pack. You have a whole world to explore. The next morning, the cubs walked through the gates with Bomi and the other Vrax. They looked back at June once. He waved. Then they turned and walked into the jungle toward their future. June stood at the gate for a long time after they disappeared from sight. Isel came to stand beside him. She didn't say anything, just put a hand on his shoulder. You did good, Captain Kwan said, joining them. Better than good. You gave them something nobody else could. You gave them a chance. Over the following months, June stayed at the sanctuary and worked. He helped Bomi with other rescued cubs, taught new handlers his techniques, showed them that patience and compassion worked better than force and fear. Other humans came to learn from him. The sanctuary grew. More cubs were saved. The techniques June had used became standard practice across multiple planets. The cubs visited sometimes. Not often. They were busy with their pack, with their lives. But every few weeks, June would be working and he'd hear a familiar call. He'd look up and there they'd be. Era, Tay, Hai, grown now. Wild, free. They'd spend a few hours with him. Let him check that they were healthy. Share their kills with him, showing him their hunting success. Then they'd leave again, back to their pack, back to their jungle. And June was happy. Not because he had them with him, but because he had given them what they needed most, their freedom. One day, a year after arriving on Vraxos Prime, Dr. Rena came to him with a data pad. June, you need to see this. It was a message from Earth from his sister Sora. She was crying in the video, but she was smiling too. Big brother, she said. I saw everything you did. How you saved those cubs. How you let them go. Mom and Dad watched too. They're so proud. We all are, she wiped her eyes. You left Earth to make money, to help us. But you did something more important. You showed the whole galaxy what humanity can be. You made us matter, the message continued. Come home when you're ready. But know that you've already done more than anyone could have asked. You've made a difference. A real difference. June watched the message 3 times. Then he looked out at the jungle where his cubs were living their lives, where other rescued cubs were learning to be wild, where humans were working alongside aliens to save a species from extinction. I am home, he said quietly. That night, he sat on his usual ridge watching the sunset. The jungle was alive with sounds. Somewhere out there, Era, Tay, and Hai were with their pack, living, hunting, free.